Continuing on with the review of Chapter 2, where we started getting into the human-computer interface, one of the primary things to remember is feedback. Feedback is something that we get all the time, both from people and from computers. But on a computer, it can take multiple forms, such as the changes that you made suddenly becoming visible or highlighted, gray areas that are items on menus that are grayed out, telling you that they're not accessible. Also that the cursor typically replaced by the hourglass, something, the spinning wheel, something to let us know that it's still working. The progress bar to give us some estimate on how much time is remaining in an operation. Then there was the concept of a consistent interface. So regardless of who makes software, there's a tendency for the icons and the menus to be similar. This is especially true with software made by the same vendor. Some things to know is that cut, copy, and paste are found in the edit menu, and that new, open, and save are found in the file menu. There's also the concept of clicking and blazing, wherein the consistency that we get with crossed applications allows us to kind of jump right in and start clicking around and exploring in a new application to find out what features are available. Also, blazing away is trying something in an app that we haven't done before. Talk about perfect reproduction. Perfect reproduction is a property of digital information. So it doesn't matter where the copy came from, the original and the copy are going to be the same sequence of 1 and 0s. There's no difference. Every copy made will be identical to the original. Then we got into a little copy-paste scenario here. Copy-paste is what copy-paste is. And then we talked about finding and replacing. A useful thing to know, and finding and replacing all, and ability to go in and make significant changes to a document. The placeholder technique is something you're going to want to be familiar with, and the simplest way to explain this is just to go through the example on the screen. If we want to replace every use of Etsy with Etsy period, because throughout the course of the document we realize we left a bunch of them out, we can do that. But if we just go through and replace Etsy with Etsy period, we'll end up with a lot of Etsy period periods from those that fall at the end of the sentence. So then we thought, well, we'll just go back and replace period period with a period, but no, if you do that, you'll break any of the ellipses that you have in your document. So here's what we do. We use the placeholder technique. We go in and we replace the good Etsys with a period with some placeholder, some odd word like blafu. That hides those so they're not visible. Then we go through and replace the bad Etsys with the correct Etsy periods. Then we go back and replace blafu with Etsy period, and then we're done. A metaphor in the computing language is some kind of an icon or image that's used to represent some common item that you're familiar with. When they developed the graphical user interfaces, or GUIs, they came up with the metaphor of a desktop and the representation of files, folders, and documents. More recently, the touch metaphor has come into place, which allows us to use smartphones, tablets, and other mobile devices by touching the screen and having different gestures and flicks and things like that. And that completes our review, and we'll go ahead and proceed then with the quiz.